Well, breaking news. The U.S. is planning to announce their intention to walk away from CUSMA USMCA. As per Reuters this afternoon, we're expecting to hear from the American administration at some point later today. This is big news because Canada has been running articles and stories of how Carney is just got it all under control and it's all good. And we'll be covering those today. However, to hear this, well, it's the death by 1,000 paper cuts that we have been warning about for quite some time. And Mark Carney has been watching it all go down without lifting one single finger. We have a lot to get into. I'm looking forward to getting into all of it with you. Welcome to the Elevate Report. I'm your host, Josh. Now let's get into our first story, shall we? From Reuters, breaking. U.S. declaration to exit USMCA to start a decade-long countdown for the pact. U.S. President Donald Trump's administration is expected to formally declare on Wednesday that it will not extend the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement on Trade, starting a decade-long clock to wind down the 32-year-old North American Free Trade Zone as the three countries haggle over proposed changes. That declaration will kick off a 6-year review session, part of a sunset clause negotiated by President Donald Trump's first administration. However, it will do little to alter contentious negotiations over the pact's future, including sweeping demands to boost U.S. and regional content in North American automotive production and trade protections to block Chinese goods from benefiting from USMCA. Trade chiefs from the U.S., Mexico, and Canada are expected to meet virtually on Wednesday and declare whether they want to extend the pact for another 16 years. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer has already scheduled a third negotiation with Mexico for the week of July 20th, signaling his intent to keep pushing for changes. We expect July 1st to come and go, and for the United States to not confirm its wish to extend, said Greta Peisch, a former USTR general counsel who is now a trade partner at Wiley Rein in Washington. Peisch added that it's unclear whether the U.S. says exactly what it's looking for in a public way in a statement expected after the meeting. Failure to reach an agreement on revisions to USMCA would keep the trade pact in indefinite limbo, with similar review sessions annually for the next 10 years, after which the North American Trade Pact would expire on July 1st, 2036. The review and sunset process, which was considered controversial when it was enacted, is separate from a termination clause that U.S. President Donald Trump or his Mexican and Canadian counterparts could exercise, triggering a U.S. withdrawal from the pact within 6 months. That's your breaking news. U.S. is expected to announce its intention to walk away from CUSMA USMCA. Again, this isn't a full-on termination where they're going to walk away from it in the next 6 months. However, it's a verbal confirmation that they have no interest in extending it, setting up the 10-year countdown. And I apologize for those who've heard me say this before. I'll have to say it again to make sure we get the point across. You're going to hear this point pushed a lot in the media this afternoon into this evening. Is the fact of, oh, don't worry, we still have 10 years. We still have 10 years. Everything's going to be intact. It just means they don't want to renew. And yes, in the immediate term, that's good news. But when it comes to business investment, this is very bad news because we as people, individuals, we plan out 3-year terms, 5-year terms, or maybe 10-year plans of how we're going to, we're going to buy a house, we're going to go on vacation, we're going to save up for this is for retirement, blah, 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 blah. We set up these little, milestones or goals, 3, 5, 7, 10 years. But that's the most people will go. Most people go year to year. But when it comes to business and investment and you're dealing with manufacturing at scale, businesses at scale, well, you are looking 15, 20, 25, 30 years into the future. So if you are looking to set up shop in the US or Canada and you find out that Canada is losing its free trade agreement with the United States and you're going to be relying on that to build your cars in Canada and then sell into the US, well, you're not going to invest in factories. You're not going to invest your business into Canada because you're just like, well, I don't know if this thing's going to be real or not in 10 years. Can't afford it. We're going to stick with the US. And this is the death by 1,000 cuts I've been talking about. Is businesses will not invest their time or funds into a country whose economic future with their greatest trading partner is uncertain. It's just not going to happen. So when you have the US come out and say, yeah, we have no interest in extending this, let's start the year-to-year reviews, that is going to be the death of 1,000 paper cuts for Canada. And the media is going to lie to your face. It's going to lie to your family. It's going to lie to your friends that it's all good. We still have 10 years, as if that actually means something. But in the grand scheme, that means no investment's coming in, no new dollars going to come in. They're going to lie to your face about it, and they're going to recycle promises, recycle projects that originated under different administrations or originated under different deals and deliver them as if it's brand new news. That's how this government operates. But we continue reading this article. This is where it gets very interesting. For now, the U.S. is holding formal negotiating rounds with Mexico only, leaving Canada to the side amid a long list of bilateral trade irritants ranging from Canada's restricted dairy market to Canadian provinces pulling American liquor off the shelves. Greer has planned no schedule to launch formal negotiations with Canada, though he holds discussions with his Canadian counterpart, Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc. They are going to continue moving forward with all these rounds of negotiations with Mexico. Canada is getting left in the dust. Not only are they looking to step away from this trilateral agreement over the next 10 years, they are not pursuing further negotiations with Canada because we have been such bad faith actors and the Liberals have screwed this one up 6 ways to Sunday because it was politically convenient for them here in Canada for them to hold power. And that's what weak people do. Burn it all to the ground so they can rule over the ashes. This is why I get ticked off. This is why I get annoyed. A lot of people realize, what can we do? It's a great question. What can you do? About applying pressure where pressure needs to be applied. You need to be involved with the grassroots. You need to be involved in your municipal politics, in your ridings politics. You need to get involved in your community and start pushing for change. Like yesterday. This cannot be a spectator sport any longer. Can you make change and have impact at the federal level when it comes to how the Liberals are going to change their strategy? No, you're not. But you can have impact on in your community, and you can start building up your community to hedge yourself against the awful mistakes that this federal government's going to make. You can do that. Because yeah, you're not going to change what the federal Liberals are going to do. You're just not. Look at Jamil Jivani, for goodness sakes. Good friends with J.D. Vance, and look at how much he even can do. And he's in the official opposition. He's as close to government as you could possibly get without being in the government. He has great connections with folks in the U.S. And look at the impact he was able to have. Next to nothing on this specific issue because he's not in government. So he's had to make different moves and changes to help bolster his community and his riding. The same can be done for you. That's what you can do right now is get involved with what the heck is going on in your community and making sure the worst of the worst people are not getting involved in politics. Like, I don't know, sock puppets, for goodness sakes. Because this is what you're going to see a lot more of. Ryan Garrettson posted this on X, was a CBC clip of them again doubling down on this hatred of America and why Canadians should continue to hate America.
Love to see Canada be the 51st state.
Customer Dale Darling is on the hunt to buy local. When she first heard Trump's comments,
keep in mind, look at that tag in the top right corner of the video, okay? June 25th, 2026, posted 5 days ago. And they're still running this BS.
She had a visceral reaction.
I don't understand why anyone would think that any nation would react well to basically talk of colonization. It is hard to look in a neutral way at what's going on outside our borders, and I simply had such a negative reaction to it. I wasn't prepared to support their economy.
She stopped buying American products and says many of her friends have done the same. Several Nova Scotia retailers say they continue to see a lot of interest in buying local. At Westside Beer, Wine, Spirits in Clayton Park, while bourbon is popular, there's less demand for other American products.
And so for the most part, Canadians, I think we have really spoken with their wallets, saying that they still want to support Canadian and local, and that the U.S. products are not things that they are super keen on buying in great demand.
And at the NSLC, sales of Nova Scotian alcohol products increased more than 11% in the most recent fiscal year. This happened at the same time that overall alcohol sales fell. In a statement, NSLC spokesperson Tara McKinnon said that most of the remaining U.S. inventory is wine and spirits, and, quote, given the volume of U.S. wine on hand, it will take some time to sell through it. At Local Source Market in Halifax, Trump talk drove new customers to the store, and they continue to shop there. Founder Sean Gallagher believes the interest in buying local took root at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We can just support each other, and small economic decisions kind of make a difference. And that's what was kind of laid bare during the pandemic. So then when Trump came around second term and is, trying to annex us and give us grief, we're like, that's
trying to annex us. I can't. Ryan Garrettson said this, and I agree with him. So CBC once again making sure Canadians' elbows stay up. There is no other reason for these segments than to keep people distracted from our own government's failings and use Trump's tariffs as the main scapegoat for our country's continued decline. And I couldn't agree more. Because the distractions are very real. Yes, keep running America bad, Trump bad, get the focus off our government. And Carney came forward with a calm, cool YouTube video today, this morning. Hey, it's all good. Mark Carney's here to the rescue. And Mark Carney taking credit for things that he never did. Here we go.
It's important to know that the global oil shock is happening even though Canada is producing far more oil than we ever have. In fact,
catch this.
Only 2 countries have increased oil production more than we have this century.
Only 2 countries have increased output. US and Russia. And trust me, we're not much higher than Iraq or Brazil. It goes Iraq, Brazil, Canada, Russia, then boom, America. Again, just funny. Yeah, great. You increased oil output by a small margin when it could have been, we actually probably could have displaced Russia, if I'm being quite honest with you, if we had proper infrastructure in place. But anyways.
The United States and Russia. Most of our production has been for export, and almost all of those exports have gone to one country, the United States. The U.S. pays a discount for Canadian oil in part because it's been pretty much our only customer. That started to change last year when the new Trans Mountain Pipeline came online. For the first time, we have direct access from our West Coast to fast-growing Asian markets.
Listen to this guy take credit for things he had nothing to do with. It came online last year because I just showed up and just a pipeline just magically appeared and we started exporting to Asian markets. Look at me. I'm Mark Carney. Give me a break. And he's about to list a bunch of oil projects, and all of them he lists all originated under, well, not the Liberals.
That gives us a better price for our oil and more resources to support Canadians. It's also why we're developing options for a second oil pipeline to the West Coast. And it's why we are building a series of projects to export low-carbon, liquefied natural gas.
So everything he lists here, all these projects originated under a Harper government, which just shows you how much pain this is painful, dude. I know it's hard to believe because liberals it doesn't make it sound this way, but yeah, Harper, last time he was in power was 11 years ago. Just a heads up, okay? So all these projects originated under a Harper government and then just slow walked by the Trudeau government, making it so difficult to even build that pipeline that he's touting here. Oh, making it so difficult to the point that the private sector walked away from it because it was just ridiculous the amount of red tape they put around the freaking project. The government had to buy it back multiple times over. Yeah, okay, the Liberals had it built underneath, 100%. But they screwed it up so much that it ended up costing so much more than it needed to. And that's the Mark Carney way. Kind of like, I don't know, him taking credit for forward guidance, a monetary theory developed in the United States decades before Mark Carney even tried to implement the theory here in Canada during the financial crisis. It's what he does, though. Just tries to take credit for everything that he had nothing to do with. That's what he does. But this is what it is, man. We're talking about we're gonna get the stupid CBC clips. Mark Carney saying, "Don't worry, folks. I'm Mark Carney. We're gonna be just fine." And CTV putting this out, not looking for my pen. Carney not expecting resolution or any drama around the CUSMA deadline. Well, it's about to get a little dramatic, folks. Carney says he doesn't expect any resolution Wednesday to the ongoing talks about whether to renew or review the Canada-US-Mexico agreement. Isn't that funny? Because this was posted just before the Reuters article launched this afternoon, babies. We're not going to know anything. Psych! We're going to be reviewing it for the next 10 years. No interest in renewing it. Just year-to-year review. No certainty. All doubt. Nothing but fear. And no investment coming into our country. Thank you, Mark Carney. Thank you for looking out what's best for yourself and screwing us 6 ways a Sunday. Awesome. looking forward to the amazing things that are going to come for our country in the process. Am I feeling a little spicy this afternoon? Absolutely. Am I a little annoyed and frustrated? Yep. Was this episode more so focused on just hitting the facts super hard to get a point across? Oh yeah. Because I've been sitting here watching this train on a collision course. And the thing is, with this one, as I said at the start of the show, this isn't one big boom. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be a nuclear bomb that's going off. It's just going to be death by 1,000 paper cuts, as I've said multiple times on this show. A yearly review of our largest trade agreement does not provide any certainty in the marketplace. Only uncertainty. And that's an uncertainty that nobody wants to invest in. So we'll see what the fallout is. I've warned you what you're going to read this afternoon into this evening. It's going to be a lot of, don't worry, it's going to be all good. It's going to be okay. And it's going to be a gaslighting bonanza. Don't fall for it. Argue intelligently. Be fact-based. And let's continue to put pressure and suffocate the BS of this government. But anyways, have yourselves a good one. I'm out.